Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gina Marie Agderian. I am the author of The Letters in the Old House, available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. I will link this book in the description below. It's a great, fun read that takes place down the Jersey Shore. So if you like beach themed reads, definitely check this out. So today, of course, is another episode of Book Talk, because that's what I talk about pretty much always on this channel. So today we're talking about The Legacies by Jessica Goodman. Now, this is the third novel that I have read by Jessica Goodman, and I have to say it is by far my favorite. I did also read The Counselors and They'll Never Catch Us. I would give this one 3.5 stars, and I do think it was a very well crafted, where I was guessing towards the end. The other two stories that I read by her, the other two books I read by her, not so much. But this definitely kept me guessing towards to the end of the book. So what it centers around are these teenagers who are going into their senior year of high school. So it's Bernie, Isabel, Skylar, Lee, and Tori, and they are all nominated for this club in New York City called the Legacy Club. And in order to be nominated for it, you have to meet certain qualifications, but really a lot of it is about who you know. So these kids come from very wealthy families, all of them except for Tori. Tori comes from a middle-class family in Queens. And they're all wondering how Tori got nominated for this, because typically it's a group of certain families with certain privileges and certain criteria that are met, and she's kind of the odd person out. So it's interesting to see how she actually got nominated. This is a young adult thriller, so a lot of it centers around high school drama. They all have their own issues. Bernie and Skylar are boyfriend and girlfriend, and they have their own drama with each other. Isabel has some issues going on with some substance abuse. And so it's interesting to see that part of it. And there is, of course, a death in this, as we can see from the blood on the cover. It starts out with talking about the death, and it doesn't, of course, name who actually passes. And of course, I'm not going to give that away, but it does start with that. So we're seeing in the beginning the setting of the scene of who done it, basically, and who actually was killed, maybe not. So I do recommend this book if you like reading about the inner workings of very wealthy families, specifically in New York City. I feel like New York City, there's wealth in New York City, and then there's everywhere else. And I could say that coming from living outside of New York City my entire life, it's just a whole different world over there compared to the rest of the world, in my humble opinion. But these kids obviously come from extremely wealthy families. They go to private schools. They're basically born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And I do also find it humorous when I read these types of books about privileged kids, because Jessica Goodman does tend to write a lot about privileged children, and specifically a lot of her characters are Jewish. She herself is Jewish, so it makes sense that she creates a lot of Jewish characters, just like in my writing, I create a lot of Italian American characters representing who we are. So I always find it really interesting with these kids, the things they do and get away with, because I know that a lot of this stuff, in fact, pretty much any of this stuff, I would never get away with any of the stuff that these kids do in this. My parents would have found out somehow, and I would still be grounded now as a grown adult. So very humorous to me and funny to watch these kids drinking and doing drugs, and the parents just off in their own world doing whatever it is that they do. And my camera is definitely moving right now. So anyway, if you do like reading books about that, and you can kind of suspend disbelief a little bit, this is a good book to read if you are interested in seeing the inner workings of privilege and kids, and how they're born, and the families that they're born into, and keeping wealth within certain families, and of course seeing that everything is not always roses when you are in the top 1%. So The Legacies by Jessica Goodman. Let me know in the comments if you've read this, if you plan on reading it, what you thought of it. And as always, guys, happy reading.